Hello and welcome to the first of 4 programmes featuring Club 100's race day coverage from round 6 of our Sprints Championships. It's in the August heat for some midsummer madness on our second visit of the season to Buckmore Park, as Club 100 returns to sprint action after its summer break. In Premier Class, the first half of the season was initially dominated by baby Prem Anwar Burrell-Smith, who has led the championship from Buckmore Park back in February. However, reigning champion Ian Blake has been quietly chipping into his lead before Anwar's managed to peg Ian at just 10 points. While the only other driver to take 3 wins from the 10 finals we've had so far, Matt Brooks, possibly with Steve Brown, are a pair of dark horses for the overall championship. Darren Teal is the best of the rest, 95 points off the championship lead. The Heat 1 grid is generated randomly, Heat 2 will be its reverse. Points from the heat set the grid for the pre-final, and a driver's fastest lap times from the preceding races sets the grid for the main trophy final. Both finals count towards the championship. The driver with the best 16 results from the season's 22 finals will be crowned 2015 champion. So on to the first heat then. In pole position, Jay Elliott on the front row with him, reigning champion Ian Blake. On row 2, Jonathan Lister and Darren Teal. On row 3, Jack Harding and Steve Brown. Stuart Martin and Matt Brooks on row 4. David Robertson returns to action with Callum McGregor on row 5. Jonathan Maycock makes a welcome return to Premier Sprint action on grid 11. And bringing up the rear, Anwar Burrell-Smith is last on the grid for this first heat, looking for the green light. It's there and we're racing at Buckmore Park. Who'll get the whole shot into turn 1? Jay Elliott leads in the white. Ian Blake getting on his bumper off the corner. Darren Teal slotting in behind Jonathan Lister. And now it begins to get a bit busy, a little bit frantic, and possibly a little bit narrow as well. Get your elbows out for the hairpins. McGregor takes a look over his shoulder. We take a look from behind. Stuart Martin, cart number 3, Parmvina Jar in unfamiliar white lid and blue overalls. On board with Dave Waters, who's sideways through Pullman's. Managed to keep it running though, but he runs at the back of the field now. Najjar up the inside of Martin, inside of McGregor. McGregor a little bit unhappy with that, and I don't blame him. Najjar off the road on the exit of Senna. And Anwar Burrell-Smith making progress from the back of the field already, and we're on to lap 2, and he's moving ahead of Jonathan Maycock. Listed at the inside of Blake for second place. Goes a long way in, a little bit crossed up, slow off the corner, and Darren Teal moves onto the bumper, and Steve Brown tries to push through. At the second hairpin, looking over his shoulder, and Matt Brooks has bravely gone round the outside of Brown because he was looking the wrong way, sweeping downhill through Syme Sweep. Pullman's, that's Syme Sweep, that's Pullman's. Now is Burrell-Smith going to throw one up the inside? Yes he is. Can he get it done side by side off the corner? We'll have to wait and see who comes out ahead between Burrell-Smith and Stuart Martin. He's through. Lee Clackett now moving on to the bumper with Stuart Martin. On to lap 3, 2 laps down, and Anwar Burrell-Smith started 19th, runs in 12th place. We're looking at David Robinson away with that leading group. Gap then to Steve Hicks in 9th place. Stephen Brown trying to get back on terms with Matt Brooks in their fight for 5th. Anwar Burrell-Smith points the way as he heads into 11th place, looking for the top 10. Back on board with Clackett. Is he going to strike down at Paddock? He's going to try, and through he goes up the inside. Lee Clackett moves forward and into 13th place. Jonathan Lister in second, now trying to run down Jay Elliott. He's had a bit of a breather out front. Dave Robinson up the inside of Jack Harding, who can't fight it too hard. Keep an eye on those fastest lap times. They will set the grid for the main trophy final. Harding on the cutback, takes the position back, and all they've done between the pair of them is lose ground. Steve Brown in 6th place, sweeping downhill once again through Pullman's with Matt Brooks, one of only 4 drivers to win a final or a pre-final this season. With Anwar Burrell-Smith, Ian Blake and Steve Brown, the top 3 in the championship. Kind of makes sense. Dave Waters picks up, 17th place from Scott Martin. Every position is crucial because the points from these heats will count towards the grid position for the pre-final, which is championship scoring. So 2 scoring races at each round. Down down the inside. Scott Martin picks off Dave Waters to go back into 17th place. You take a step forward and then you lose it. Jay Elliott now beginning to come under pressure from Jonathan Lister, but Lister is towing Ian Blake up to the front as well. And joining in 4th place is Darren Teal, who you've seen is setting fast lap times. Blake takes a peek over his shoulder. Matt Brooks is joining in. We've got 5 in a line here. Steve Brown will get on the back of this train with a decent tow from Brooks. Got to be within about 3/10 to pick up a small slipstream up to turn 1, which is Conway's. And Jonathan Lister uses that slipstream to the best advantage. Ian Blake goes through on his bumper, and Jay Elliott is shuffled down to 3rd place. Blake half a car width narrow to hold off Elliott, and that lets in Darren Teal behind. It's been a poor couple of corners for Jay Elliott. Under pressure now from Matt Brooks and Steve Brown as they sweep through the S's and downhill to Paddock. We're on board with Waters, looking at Scott Martin. He begins to close in now. Will he throw it up the inside? He's going for it, dropping into the hole that's at the apex of Paddock. Looking out the back door is Stuart Martin at Palmvina Jarrow, struggling to make much progress in this first heat, carrying the number 3 plate because he finished 3rd in the championship last year. Probably hoped to make a tilt at the championship this year. Just hasn't really happened. 12th in the championship at the moment. Would be a little bit high, but he missed the last round. Matt Brooks has gone ahead of Jay Elliott, so Steve Brown and David Robinson goes through as well. Looking for Jack Harding. He's got his nose inside in the S's and he goes through. So that's Jay Elliott now down in 7th place. Back on board with Dave Waters through the S's. Sweeping downhill through Syme Sweep. Stuart Martin ahead of us. Looks as though he's had to lift behind the jar. Opens up a gap for Dave Waters to throw one down the inside cleanly into Paddock. And the position is his. So up to 15th place for Dave Waters. Darren Teal looking the inside and goes into 3rd place. What a good move from Darren Teal. Anwar Burrell-Smith setting fast lap times. He may have started at the back, but he's picking up positions and he's up the inside of Ray Norris, but the road goes the wrong way for him into the 2nd hairpin. Try and cut back. Will he try and slide up inside of the S's? He's going for it. Wheels inside, and Norris, you could see, willing his car on, didn't have the momentum. Now he'll try and get on Anwar's bumper. We'll see if the pair of them can run down Stephen Hicks. Ray will be doing the sums and hoping they'll be on his bumper into somewhere like turn 1, or maybe it's Paddock or Garda, and throw it up the inside and follow through with Anwar. Coming round to start lap 9, and Jonathan Lister continues to lead, but he's under pressure now from Darren Teal. Teal on his bumper, and Lister's gone a little bit narrow to put him off. Martin trying to get inside of Maycock. The move is done. Scott Martin waits patiently. He'll be looking to pick up a spot cheaply as well if he can. Can't get inside at the 2nd hairpin. We'll have to try later on, or will Maycock come back at Stuart Martin? Looks as though he's trying to stone his bumper down to Paddock. Sweeping downhill. A little bit of a lift there. Coming through Pullman's. Down the inside, Scott Martin picks off John Maycock. And here comes Callum McGregor, and he runs him out wide. On to the final lap now, and Darren Teal's going for the lead. Inside of Conway's, he's got it done. Now will he pin Lister to the outside and give Blake a chance? Matt Brooks up the inside. Leighton Hart 3 wide. And Lister's going to keep the spot. Brooks comes straight back at Blake, and Brown's up the inside as well. It all kicks off in the space of 3 corners, and Dave Robinson picks up positions as well. Sweeping downhill, Darren Teal is heading for victory. He's clear of Jonathan Lister, who in turn is clear of Ian Blake, but he's under pressure from Robinson, Brooks, Brown, Elliott and Harding, and Blake goes narrow into Garda to cover off Dave Robinson. Down into centre, but the leader is coming into Cafe Curve. Darren Teal wins the first heat of the day ahead of Jonathan Lister. Ian Blake, David Robinson's picked up a penalty. Matt Brooks is promoted to 4th place ahead of Steve Brown. Well, 3/4 of an hour have passed, and we're on to Heat 2 for Premier Class. The reverse of Heat 1, so of course Anwar Burrell-Smith, Championship leader, starts in pole position ahead of Parnvir Najjar, Scott Martin and David Waters on row 2. Lee Clackett and Ray Norris on row 3, Stephen Hicks and Steve Bartlett on row 4. John Maycock and Callum McGregor on row 5. It's 19 on the grid. They may have to go something to catch Anwar. He won here in the trophy final back in February. Bit of a Buckmore Park specialist, you might say. He's got the whole shot because he's dropped the hammer, and Najjar's missed it, and he may lose out to Scott Martin into turn 1, the thankless task of grid 2. And here comes Lee Clackett as well, and Parnvir may be pushed to hang on to 4th place ahead of Stephen Hicks as they go through the hairpins. Well, he's getting back into 3rd place. Not a bad return for Parnvir in the blue. John Maycock getting past Dave Waters. Sweeping downhill they go. Somebody running wide. I think that was Ray Norris. He's back in line now. Darren Teal down the inside of Callum McGregor, who runs Dave Robinson out wide. Teal taking no prisoners. Stuart Martin taking advantage as well. Blake slides through as well. Remember, he started 18th on the grid, just ahead of Jay Elliott, the poleman from the first heat, coming through in 11th place. So a good start for the reigning champion. Lee Clackett dips inside of Parnvir Najjar into Conways as the inside track into hairpin 1. Now, will Parnvir fight it out round the outside for the inside of hairpin 2? Yes, he will. He'll get the momentum off the corner. It's a drag race, and Hicks is trying to get in there as well. Side by side through the S's, and Lee Clackett picks up the spot. So Clackett moves into 3rd place. Down a paddock, and Dave Waters down the inside of Jonathan Maycock. Didn't we see that in the last heat? I think we did. Anwar Burrell-Smith pulling clear as the field fights behind. It's Martin in 2nd ahead of Clackett, Najjar, Hicks, Dave Waters, Jonathan Maycock, Ray Norris. Clackett out of the line, and Najjar's going to go through on the inside of hairpin 1. Whoa, Scott Martin all crossed up. Goes in deep. Big mistake from Scott. I don't think he was pushed by Parnvir at all. And he is swallowed by the chasing pack. Downhill they go. Sweeping past the pit entrance on the left, or as the right as we look from that tyre bundle. There's the paddock. Down in paddock corner. Hicks holding off Najjar, Waters. Everybody going narrow behind. So Hicks doesn't look particularly quick and is developing possibly a queue behind him. He makes the hole in the air for Parnvir Najjar. And look how narrow Stephen Hicks is having to go to hold on to the spot. And that's inviting in Dave Waters and John Maycock. We've got a small group of 4 here with a few kart lengths on Ray Norris. Waters now will look to get inside into the S's. Can't get it done. I'd have just breathed out the throttle there or covered the brake just to lose a bit of momentum. And look at that. Ian Blake shifted out the way by Steve Bartlett. Doing well to keep it out the tyres. Waters makes a move down at paddock. Seems to be a favoured spot for him. And John Maycock's going to do his best to pick up the spot with him. Lee Clackett changes lanes behind Parnvir for the inside of Cafe Curve. A lot of experience here at Buckmore Park for Lee Clackett. Darren Teal has got inside of John Maycock, who tries to turn in, but you can't turn in through Darren Teal in a Club 100 car. He's there and there's nothing that John can do. But he's got the inside for hairpin 2. You can see Ray Norris looking over his shoulder because you can feel Dave Robinson taking a chance as well. And this time Waters is side by side through the S's, still can't get it done. And Lee Clackett will be inside into Symes sweep. That's rare you can get through there. Obviously Waters not on the optimum line, and he looks as though he's compromised off paddock as well, looking to defend to hold off Darren Teal, who's made quite a bit of progress through this 2nd heat. Briefly on board there with Dave Waters in 4th place. Couldn't even see race leader Anwar Burrell-Smith. 3.471 seconds clear and heading for victory in heat 2. Battles going on behind. Lee Clackett on the bumper once again of Parnvir Najjar in 3rd place. Darren Teal moves through to 4th. Dave Waters not too pleased. John Maycock goes through with him. And a chance maybe for Norris getting on his bumper as well into the S's. It's one line through here, unless you've got a bit of cooperation or somebody's made a big mistake. So Waters looking to the inside as he's done so many times from a long way back, drilling John Maycock to his displeasure. Dave Waters behind looking up the inside, and John gets his own back. No favour there for Dave Waters, and it's very much the arm-waving class that is Premier class. Waters to the inside of Maycock into turn one. Once again, John Maycock struggling for pace at the end of the start-finish straight. So Dave Robinson moving through, only for John Maycock to block pass his way back through. Bit of contact with Waters, not a lot of love lost there. All good fun, of course. And once again, Waters on John Maycock's bumper, pushing him down to paddock. Expect to move into paddock unless John covers it off. And Stephen Hicks is under pressure from Lee Clackett and Parmveen Jar as we come to the end of this second heat. Closing stages, we're on the penultimate lap. Anwar Beryl Smith's lead is 4 seconds. You're not missing anything of the leader. Stephen Hicks hanging on to second place, but I think the game's up for Hicks. Lee Clackett moves through. Parmveen Jar, Darren Teal. Darren Teal won the first heat. He's going to be well up on the grid for the pre-final with a first and what would be a fourth place into the S's. Still, there's a lap and a half to go. There's still plenty of time for plenty of action, and it is all kicking off behind. You're looking at the battle for 8th place. 8th place through to 19th, I suppose you'd say. All in a line. Everybody wanting the same piece of track. Steve Brown looking to the inside of Dave Waters into Garda, gets it done. Stuart Martin sticks his nose in. Bit of contact. Everybody still running somehow. Blink and you'd miss it. And up front it's no different. Steve Hicks still holding off Darren Teal and Parmveen Jar for 3rd place. Looks as though Lee Clackett is released into 2nd. Anwar Beryl Smith is well up the road. 4 seconds, he'll be already on the run downhill to paddock. And there is the race leader. Look at the gap that he's got. Had a clean start, got away at the beginning while everybody was fighting, and now they're fighting over the minor places. And right now Stephen Hicks has got 3rd place. Darren Teal is running out of corners. It's very rare to be able to now drag somebody to the line on the run to the finish, and I don't expect that to happen. So Anwar Beryl Smith wins ahead of Lee Clackett. Stephen Hicks is in 3rd place. Darren Teal, Parmveen Jar is your top 5. And welcome back, and we're on to the pre-final, a championship scoring race in terms of the points at least. We've already had one attempt to start this pre-final. It ended at turn 1 for Ian Blake and 1 or 2 others. We'll not dwell on that, let's get on to the main course. In pole position, Darren Teal after a win in Heat 1 and a 4th place in Heat 2, with Anwar Beryl Smith on the front row with him after his Heat win. Stephen Hicks and David Robinson on row 2. Stephen Brown, Lee Clackett on row 3, Matt Brooks and Ray Norris on row 4, Jonathan Lister and reigning champion Ian Blake on row 5. It's 19 on the grid once again. Callum McGregor, it's been a hard day for Callum. He starts at the back, but there's plenty of time. These finals are a little bit longer. We're expecting, I think, about 13 or 14 laps. Darren Teal has got the whole shot. Anwar Beryl Smith tries to turn in on Hicks, but it doesn't work. Steve's coming through, and Steve Brown will come through with him if he can. Matt Brooks, they're all in a line, but want to hang out Anwar Beryl Smith. He's managed to hang on to, 3rd place into hairpin 2. Back on board with Dave Waters, providing us with excellent pictures from his helmet camera. Side by side through the S's. Tricky through there, that's not a passing spot, Dave. Down at paddock, is he going to launch one up the inside? Looks as though McGregor's gone down the inside of Harding, and Ray Norris has run out wide. Steve Bartlett in the orange, with John Maycock tapping on his bumper. The field beginning to spread out. Looking out the back of Stuart Martin, not many behind him, he'll be disappointed with that. Darren Teal leads ahead of Stephen Hicks. Anwar Beryl Smith in 3rd place, holding off Steve Brown, Matt Brooks and Jonathan Lister. The top 6 edging clear of Jay Elliott. Take a look over your shoulder, see what's on, and Hicks goes through. And behind him, Steve Brown's got ahead of Matt Brooks. It doesn't look as though Hicks is particularly quick, having got in front. Sweeping through Pullmans. Try and nick a little bit of gear block. That's the green mesh on the edge of the track there. Not a lot of grip. And of course, the shorter the route, the quicker it usually is. So you do try and steal a bit of curb. So Hicks looking over his shoulder and under pressure from Darren Teal. Looking for a way by. Anwar's right there as well. You've got to be careful. If you're going to shoot, you've got to score. So Brown takes a shot at Beryl Smith, gets the place, then has to go narrow to hold him off into the hairpin. Matt Brooks through on Jonathan Lissider. David Robinson coming through as well. Not quite there. Sweeping through the S's. Great camera work from the crew. Down at paddock. Everybody looking to get a fast slide out. See what's on at Garda. Robinson to the inside of Lissider. And that looks like Ian Blake picking off Dave Waters. So Blake's trying to get to the front of the chasing pack. And no one's really getting away as we move on to lap 4 of 11. So we have lost a couple of laps from the scheduled length of this race. That'll be due to the rather silly opening to the first start. Jay Elliott, David Robinson, Lee Clackett fighting hard into the S's. Left, right, downhill, close to that curb on the inside of Sam Sweep. Cut the one on Pullmans. I'm saying that, I'll get into trouble with Mr. Vigo for saying cut the corners. I didn't say that. I was just making an observation. Uphill once again, and Hicks continues to lead, but doesn't look particularly convincing as we move on to lap 5. 47.4 on that last lap. They've been going quicker than that today. Palmby and Ajar using the toe, picking up a fast lap time. Remember, these lap times are setting the grid for the next final, the trophy final, the big prize, but it's equal points for this pre-final and the main final in terms of the championship. So you can expect to see everybody fighting hard. And Dave Waters, having already gone halfway round in the first heat, now does a full 360 and is still running. Oh yes, and someone is trying to hit the camera. There's always one. So, end of lap 5. Stephen Hicks's lead is just a tenth of a second. You'll be able to see as we cross the line. Darren Teal looking for a way by. Can't get it done at the moment. Stephen Brown in third place, half a second off the leader. Anwar Burrell Smith just a little bit further back. Matt Brooks, Jonathan Lissider, Jay Elliott in 7th. David Robinson inside of Lee Clackett, and that's for 9th place. Jonathan Maycup can't turn in because Callum McGregor's got up the inside into 13th. And look, Darren Teal has grabbed the lead in hairpin 2 from Stephen Hicks. Not surprisingly, I think it's been coming for a lap or so. So down at paddock, and Hicks is under pressure once again from Steve Brown, looking over his shoulder, going narrow into Garda. And that'll play into the hands of Darren Teal. He's already got a cart length on Hicks, Brown, Brooks, Anwar Burrell Smith, Jonathan Lister, Jay Elliott in 7th, Ian Blake, David Robinson ahead of Lee Clackett in 10th. And once again, Hicks is on the defensive, and here comes Matt Brooks closing in behind with Burrell Smith. Now, Steve Brown has been strong into hairpin 2. He takes a look over his shoulder. It's not on this time, but I think he's lining him up for hairpin 2 soon. Once again, Teal takes a look over his shoulder, trying to get down and get on and get away. And he's almost that distance away where the string is broken. I think Stephen Hicks is struggling. Once again, using all the road, the curb and a little bit more. Dropping into centre, uphill, and it's Teal, Hicks, Brown, Brooks, Anwar Burrell Smith. Jonathan Lister coming under pressure from Jay Elliott, I believe, behind. Yeah, looking to the inside into Conway's in the back of the shot there. Jay Elliott has moved through into 6th place. And Brown in position, and he practiced it the lap before. He's got the move done now, and he moves into 2nd. And it looks as though Burrell Smith is trying to hold off Matt Brooks into the S's. But Brooks is having nothing of it, and Jay Elliott's jumped through on the exit into Sam Sweep. and he's gone through on Brooks down at Paddock, caught the tyres on the inside, and Brooks is having the position back, and Beryl Smith's going to run him out wide. Ian Blake round the outside of J.L.A. Dave Robinson sticks his nose in, and this looks like the end of Heat 1 again, where it all kicks off in the closing stages. We're on to lap 9 of 11, 3 laps from the finish in this slightly shortened pre-final, and it's all boiling up nicely, and it's playing in the hands of Darren Teal, who's got a clear run ahead. Robinson over the grass and a little bit more. Listener on the cutback, can he get it done into the S's? This group is falling away from the leading pack and the leader beyond. Stu down through the S's. Hold your breath. That's quite a daunting corner. It's flat out. It's got a reputation that some of us are aware of. So on to lap 10 then of 11. Darren Teal, half a second clear of Steve Brown with Stephen Hicks on his bumper. 1.5 seconds behind to Matt Brooks in 4th place. He's got Anwar Burrell Smith and Jay Elliott on his bumper. Ian Blake's moved into 7th place. And then we have this pack beginning with Jonathan Lister in 9th place, holding off David Robinson, moves into 8th. Into the S's once again, side by side, McGregor and Harding in their Tony Kart race suits, leaning on each other, down into Paddock. McGregor's got the inside, Harding's got the cut back, and he's inside into Garner, taking to the grass to get it done. I'm coming through, Callum, get out of the way. It's not on though, and Palvina Jar has come back at Jack Harding, and look at this, Maycock 3 wide into Cafe Curve. Harding's on the grass on the inside. Good job, there's a bit of run off there. On to the final lap then, the race leader is Darren Teal, and look at the pressure he's under from Stephen Brown. I can think of Darren trying to back Steve into Stephen Hicks to get a breather. Matt Brooks could still be a player in this final few corners. David Robinson is holding off Jonathan Lister, Scott Martin, Lee Clackett. Downhill on board with Stuart Martin briefly. Scott Martin trying to hold off Lee Clackett to the finish. We're looking for your race leader. Has he made it up to Cafe Curve? Yes, he has. Darren Teal takes a first win of the season, and look how pleased he is with that one. Ahead of Stephen Brown, Stephen Hicks, Matt Brooks and Anwar Burrell Smith in 5th. So what you've seen so far is just the entree to the main course. On pole position, Anwar Burrell Smith, with Jack Harding on the front row with him. Ian Blake, the championship rival to Burrell Smith, on row 2 with David Robinson. Ray Norris and Darren Teal on row 3. Matt Brooks well up on row 4 with Scott Martin. Jay Elliott and Stephen Brown round out the top 10. Of course, it's a 19-kart grid once again. Field has been given the thumbs up by the clerk of the course. The pace car will pull out the way. Control of the pace passes to Anwar, who gets, I think, a little nudge there from Ian Blake to get him going. And the pair have got to the front. Ray Norris is fighting through to 3rd place. Jack Harding is hung out to dry on the outside. Matt Brooks once again will be looking to go through on the inside of hairpin 1. Can he get it done? No, it looks as though Harding is hung on to 4th place. Not a bad return for 2nd on the grid. It's a tricky outside grid slot. Down in the midfield, it's side by side, and Scott Martin is nearly put in the tyres by Palmvina Jar, and probably only kept straight by the kart on his left as they came out of the S's. It's a fairly vicious opening to this final. Roders has to take avoiding action. Down the back of the field is always a hard place to be in these ones. And it's Anwar Burrell Smith leading from Ian Blake and Ray Norris ahead of Jack Harding. And this group of 4 have got away. There's a gap developed to Matt Brooks, who's under pressure from Jonathan Lister. Harding takes back 3rd place. Hairpin 2, flat now, left, right. Still flat through the right-hander, the daunting downhill sweeper of Syme Sweep. Through Pullmans, and then hard on the brakes for Paddock. try and drop it in the hole on the inside. Someone caught the tyre in the background. And look, we've got a big space here. That group in the midfield were fighting so hard, they've become detached. And Dave Robinson in 8th place is in the leading group. And then there's a gap to Hicks, Palmvina Jar, Jay Elliott, Scott Martin. Matt Brooks is desperate to hang on to 4th place ahead of Ray Norris, who wants that position back. Beryl Smith not looking particularly quick here. And is he holding up Ian Blake and Jack Harding? Yes, I think he is. Narrow to hold them off into the S's. Manages to hang on this time. And it all concertinas back up together. It looks as though Beryl Smith is trying to back Ian Blake up into the pack to keep the lead. Ray Norris is holding off Jack Harding and is looking to go by on Matt Brooks, who goes narrow into Garda and Darren Teal, David Robinson, Palmvina Jar, Steve Hicks. It's all coming back together behind Anwar, looking over his shoulder. Matt Brooks going narrow to hold off Ray Norris. Dave Waters to the inside of John Maycock. These two appear to have been together throughout the heats and the pre-final. Just can't get away from each other. Harding, the inside of Ray Norris. Is Norris going to find it out around the outside in the S's? No, he's not. Gives it up. Puts himself on the nose of Jonathan Lissett into Syme Sweep and Pullman's. Got to be careful down at paddock. Jonathan might be up the inside. But Ian Blake is looking for the lead. Beryl Smith shows him the outside. Oh, look at that. Ian Blake cuts back to the inside. Mansell style on Piquet at Stuart Silverman. But Brooks has got the lead. What a move from Matt Brooks. Oh, where did that come from? So Matt Brooks in front. And look at the gap that he's already pulled on Ian Blake. Ray Norris, Jack Harding, Jonathan Lissiter, Darren Teal, all in the mix. It's all kicking off at Buckmore Park. Always great racing here. And Ian Blake's getting a bit exasperated with Anwar's desperate efforts to keep him behind and get back to 2nd place. So Beryl Smith sees his championship rival ahead of him now. And he'll be trying not to lose the 10-point advantage he had coming in to this event. Down the inside, Ray Norris pushes it. Ian Blake a position back and onto the nose of Anwar. Oh, side by side out of Garda. Jay Elliott, Palmvina Jar, David Robinson, Scott Martin. I fear there could be a few penalties coming in this one as it gets hotter and hotter in Premier Class on a very hot day at Buckmore Park. So Beryl Smith holding off Harding, and Harding does the same trick as Ian Blake did on Beryl Smith down at Garda. Gets shown the outside. Beryl Smith looks over the wrong shoulder and down the inside when Jack Harding, and someone's hit the camera in Pullman's. I'm not surprised. Scott Martin trying to avoid tyres as well. David Robinson picking up a spot because of it. We're already on lap 6, I think about to start lap 7 of this 13-lap main final. On board with Stuart Martin, Scott Martin weaving on the defensive, very narrow. Is the crisscross on and get him on the exit? I think he's got it covered. So Anwar looking over both shoulders now. Every time he looks over the other shoulder, somebody dives up the wrong side. So Brooks, Norris, Blake, Harding, gap to Anwar, Beryl Smith under pressure from Jonathan Lister and Darren Teal. Down into paddock. And I think Jonathan Lister's coming through. Because if he doesn't, I think Darren Teal's going to have a go as well. Well, he had the momentum there off paddock. Now he's going to have to go the long way round Senna. This is going to work for Darren Teal. Is the move on into Cafe Curve for Darren Teal? Not quite there. Palmvina Jar's in the mix as well now. And Jay Elliott tags on to the back of this group, and we've got a 5-way fight for 5th place. Listener's got to get on with it, because I think Darren Teal and Palmvina Jar are going to come through at the first chance they get. Listener down the inside of hairpin 2, forcing the pass. Has he got it done into the S's? Yes, he has. So Listener moves on into 5th place, and someone's hit my camera again. It's not funny and it's not clever. Palmvina Jar down the inside of Anwar at paddock, and Jay Elliott pushing through on Darren Teal, who gets the eyes from Darren. Well, he would if it was a clear visor, but it's not, is it? but you know what I mean. The body language says it all. We're coming round to start lap 9. Matt Brooks' lead is about a second on Ray Norris. Ian Blake half a second off Ray. Jack Harding on the bumper of Ian Blake now. And the race settles down again. Let's make some progress maybe. Darren Teal gets the move done on Anwar, who's a wounded animal. And Jay Elliott goes through into the S's as well. So Brooks, Norris, Blake, Harding, gap then to Listener, Najjar, Teal, Elliott, Anwar Burrell-Smith, Dave Robinson. And I can't keep up because they're just coming too quickly. So back on board with Stuart Martin, looking at the back of Stephen Hicks. That was the battle for 14th place. And we move through to start lap 10. Pretty much in one big long line, flat out as hard as you can push your car. David Robinson to the inside of hairpin 1. Gets it done. Runs Anwar out wide. Can he come straight back into hairpin 2? Yes, he can. And I think he's going to lose this battle eventually. Scott Martin joins in. Callum McGregor, John Maycock joins in as well. And if they spend any time behind Anwar, they'll see the remainder of the pack close in as well. So coming through to start lap 11. Matt Brooks' lead is still 0.7 of a second. Ray Norris took a tenth or two out of him on that last lap. David Robinson to the inside of Anwar, into hairpin 1 again. Can't get it done this time. Will he cut to the inside of hairpin 2? Shapes up for it. There we go. Down the inside. Run Anwar out wide. Actually gives him a bit more room. And Anwar might have the momentum into the S's. Not quite there. I don't think Anwar's interested in following you, David. I think he'll be through again if he gets the chance. Because he's bleeding positions to that man there, Ian Blake. Your race leader, Matt Brooks. And if my eyes don't deceive me, Ray Norris has closed in again on that last lap. Let's have a look at the lap times. A 46.7 by Ray Norris to a 47 by Matt Brooks. 0.3 of a second taken out of him by Ray Norris. I think he might have a surprise here. The replay, Ray Norris is on for the win here if he gets a chance. But he's running out of laps. Remember, this is just a 13-lap final, and we're on the penultimate lap. So Norris has got to get a move on. I don't think he's going to do it. Ian Blake seems to have Jack Harding at arm's length. Through Pullmans. Then gap to Lissider, Parveen Najjar, Darren Teal, Jay Elliott in 8th, David Robinson and Anwar Burrell-Smith in 10th. So where are we as we come round to start the final lap? Matt Brooks' lead is just 0.3 of a second. There's a chance here for Ray Norris in the tow. Where are our leaders? There they are. And here comes Dave Waters on Callum McGregor. He moves through to 16th place, battles right through the field. They don't stop until the checkered flag comes out. So down at the bottom, and look at this now, Ray Norris on the bumper of Matt Brooks through Pullmans. Oh, and Brooks has gone a long way, and a chance here for Ray Norris. He's going to have to go the long way around though. Brooks goes narrow around the outside. That'll never work, and Brooks runs him out on the gear-block. Oh, come on, Ray, get back on track. He's on the gear-block on the outside, and he's dropped to 4th place. Matt Brooks takes a 3rd win of the season ahead of Ian Blake, who's now level on points with Anwar, and Jack Harding 3rd on the podium. Replay Ray Norris, nothing for 4th place.
Follows him, 3rd place today. Well done, driver number 7, Jack Harding. And our runner-up, reigning champion, driver number 1, Ian Blake. But our winner today, then, winning round 6 in the Premier Class here at Buckmore Park. Congratulations, driver number 10, Matt Brooks.
Cheers, mate. Whoa. Don't forget.
Oh, get in.
Don't forget.
At least I don't have to buy it.
Don't forget. Where's your hand?
Your Vroom magazine. Show your Vroom magazines off, please. That's it.
Oh, hang on.
That's it. Come on. Oh, God.
Bit complicated for Matt.
It's the best magazine in the world.
Yeah.
Did you get that, Chris?
I got it.
Alright, one more, guys.
Well done. Little ripple of applause, please, for our top three prems.